Hi, Kelly Clement here from Metastock. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Charting tab in the Power Console. The Charting tab is where you're going to spend a lot of time opening charts and managing your workflows. So we'll be showing you how you can manage your workflows in the best and most efficient ways possible. So with that, let's go ahead and go into Metastock. Okay, so where we're going to start here is just by jumping right into Metastock. When you have Metastock open for the first time, or if you've opened it many times, Metastock will pop up with the Power Console. If the Power Console is not open, you just come over here to this P right here, click that, and that will open up the Power Console for you. So the Charting tab, where we're starting here, is really where we're going to open up our charts, manage lists. We can open charts with templates, experts, things like that, and we'll get into that as we go through the presentation. But really where we're going to start is just opening up a simple chart. And there's a few different ways to do it, but we're going to start with the easiest way if you know a symbol. So if you know a symbol, you can actually just type it right in and hit enter or open chart, and your chart will open. For example, if I know I want to look at Ford, I can type in F for Ford and hit enter, or come down here and open chart, and that will open up my chart for me. So now you can see I have a chart of Ford open. So that's the simplest way to get a chart open. Let's come back into the Power Console, and let's talk about different ways we can find symbols. Oftentimes, not everyone knows the symbol that they're looking for. So we're going to do a few things. And the very first thing I'm going to have you do when you get started with your Metastock is actually customize your lists. And what that means is most of us aren't following every stock in the world. So if I were to come into the Power Console, and you'll see down here at the bottom you have this little arrow here, and I can see that I have 389,000 different symbols. Well, again, most of us aren't doing 389,000 different symbols. We're only following a few different symbols. So what we want to do is narrow it down to the markets that we follow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click up here where it says Instruments. I'm going to go to Manage Public Lists. And then this gives me this option to select the markets that I want to follow. So if I scroll down through here, you can see that we have equities Asia, we have equities Middle East, Europe, Middle East, Africa, we have equities North America, futures, South America. So everywhere in the world is covered in here. But I want you to focus on the markets that you focus on, so that's what we're going to choose first. So I'm going to come to equities North America, that's my market focus. And I'm just going to hold down my left mouse button and select the lists of stocks that I want to see. So once I've selected those, I just hit add, and those will populate over here. So I want a few other things. Maybe if you're trading futures, you could add futures. I'd like to see the top world indices, so I'm going to select those. We'll just click add. And what these little headers are here is it will break these out in the Power Console with those headers. So you'll see equities North America, then I'll see indices and what other lists I choose. So I'm going to do index constituents, and I'm just going to choose this one so I have that header. So now you see here it kind of ended up in the wrong place. I want to move it down. So I can just choose move down, and then it'll move down for me. So you can move these things up and down, make your own custom headers and spacers in here if you'd like to. So if you'd like it to say something other than index constituents, maybe like S&P lists or something like that, you can put those in there as well. So let's just choose a few different lists here. So we're going to do these S&P 100, 400, 500, and 600 lists. And then the Dow Jones, we'll do the Dow Utilities, add those. And maybe I want the NASDAQ 100 as well. So we'll just choose those lists. I'll scroll down to the bottom and add in Forex major pairs, do add there. So now these are my lists. This is how it's going to show up in the Power Console for me. So if I now choose Save and Close, what will happen is, if I minimize this by clicking these little arrows here, what you're going to see is now only the lists of stocks that I selected. So I'm not going to be seeing the whole world anymore. I don't have to try and get through Asia or Europe to find the ones that I want to follow. They're just going to be right here. So you can see the headers that I chose. I can expand any of these lists by clicking on the arrows. So if I see indices, top world indices, I can expand this list and open them up. Now that I'm right here, I can do a couple of things. One is if I see a symbol I'd like to open, I can just select it and then hit open chart, and it will open that chart. It's very similar to just typing my symbol in up at the top. The other option I have is instead of clicking in that and choosing open chart, and this is new to Metastock 16, I can just find a symbol, double click on it, and it will just open up the chart for me. So that way I don't have to check it, then come back. It'll just take care of that for me. And going back to the Power Console, you can see that's selected now to be opened. So that's an easy way to open up those symbols. If you're looking through a list of stocks, let's actually pull up, say, the S&P 100 here. And you can see when you open up Metastock for the first time, you're actually looking at a list of symbols alphabetically by symbol. So if I scroll through here, I can find the symbols and look through them. But let's say I'm not familiar with the symbol, but I know the name of the company in the S&P 100. I can actually come up to the top. This is another new feature in Metastock 16. I can sort now by name. So if I sort by name, you'll see now name is listed first, and then the symbol. So now I can scroll through and say, oh, I was looking for Alphabet, or I was looking for Amazon or American Express. I can then, again, just double click on the symbol, and that will open up the chart for me. Okay, so let's go back to the Power Console. So we've talked about managing our lists by right-clicking up here and managing public lists. We've talked about sorting by name or symbol in lists and going through lists. But it's not always the easiest to come down and find a list that a stock is in. Sometimes you just want to look for the symbol directly. So that's why we put this great instrument search over here. So if I click instrument search, this now allows me to just type in a symbol or a company name or a part of a name and identify the symbols that I'm looking for. Now the reason I had you go through and also change your list is when I search through this instrument search, it will just look through the list that I've selected. I can choose the whole world to look through or just the list that I've selected, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So let's say that I'm looking for Microsoft as an example. So I can search by symbol, by name, contains, starts with, or ends with. So let's say, well, I know it's MSFT. So if I type MSFT, it brings up Microsoft. And I know this is the Microsoft I'm looking for because it's in the list that I've selected. Now if I come up here to the top and choose all public symbols, and what public symbols means is everything in the Metastock universe, if you subscribe to it, you can access. And suddenly my Microsoft list is a lot bigger. Well, the reason for that is Microsoft trades all over the world. It trades in Mexico, it trades in the UK, it trades in Germany. But by selecting just the list that I choose, this custom public symbols, it's only going to give me ones that are relevant to what I want to look for. So that helps a lot in identifying symbols. Okay, so I can again also choose by name. So if I start typing by name here, it's not bringing anything up because I haven't chosen by name. So I want to select by name here. And now this will bring me up everything that has Microsoft in it. So if I find something that I'm interested in, I just double click on it. It will load it right into the Power Console, and then I can open up my chart. Okay, so that's the different ways that we can access charts through the Power Console. So let's close all these for just a moment, and let's come back in here. So now that I've shown you different ways to open up charts, so again, we can type in symbols, we can just click on symbols, we can do the instrument search. I want to talk about the different settings that are available to you as a user in the Power Console to open up a chart. So let's bring up Microsoft again here. So I've got MSFT.O. Now right here I have this range. So what range is you have this option for load default records and display a certain number of records. If I were to open up a chart right now, I'll just maximize this so we can see it. What default records means on a daily chart is it will automatically try and load 1,250 records. Now, on a daily chart, that's about 5 years worth of data. So if I were to scroll back in here, You can see I go back to 2013 to 2018, so I've got about that 5 years of data. But what the display 250 records means, let's open up a symbol again here, is you'll notice it's only zoomed in on about the last year. So 250 records is about 250 trading days, so that's about 1 year of data. So I've loaded 5 years of data, but I'm just zooming in on the last year. So now that I have a chart open, I can zoom that in and out down here on the chart. You have this plus and minus, so I can just scroll back and I can go to that 5 years, or I can zoom back in. So that's what that display records means on the chart here. So if I want to load every bit of data that's available to me, this load maximum records, let's open up the Dow Jones. It's a great example of load maximum records. So open up the Dow here, and now down on this chart, rather than zooming out, I can actually click this and it will zoom me all the way. So you can see now, instead of going 5 years back, I'm going back to 1890. So I can see all the data that's available by loading those max records. Okay, so that's a couple of examples of what that means. So let's go back into the Power Console. Now you can also choose to load a specific date range of your choosing. So if you want to just load 4 days back, going back, you can do that. You can manage your data however you want. You're not limited to just the defaults here. You can load in specifically what you want to load. Here we have use current exchange date time. I recommend leaving that checked. That's an option on Metastock RT. If you're using Metastock end of day, that doesn't appear there. So don't worry about that if you don't see that on your Metastock end of day. So I recommend leaving that checked. That always keeps your charts open and up to date. If you uncheck that, you may get a past date here, and then suddenly you may be going, oh, why aren't I getting up-to-date data? So you want to make sure that that's checked. Now here, let's type in a symbol here so we can show you the time frames. So time frames will become available once you open up a chart, once you type in a symbol. So I'm using Metastock RT, which is our real time. So I have the option of doing daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, as well as real-time time frames. Okay, so you can see these are the default time frames. If you want to make your own time frame to open, just come down to custom, and then you can choose whatever you want. So if I wanted to do a 66 tick bar, or if I wanted to do a 3-day chart, you can set that there as a custom time frame. So that's where you would set that. I'm going to leave that defaulted to a daily for now. So one of the things that you've probably noticed as I go through and I'm opening up charts, they all open up with this same standard default. We've got a bar chart with volume on the bottom. So there are multiple what we call templates inside Metastock where you can actually apply different views. So if we scroll down here, you can see all the different views that I have. Let's say I want to work with Bollinger Bands. I can just choose Bollinger Bands. Let's put our symbol back in here, different symbol. So I can apply this Bollinger Band template, and that will then open it that way. So that's a quick, easy way to apply different views to your chart. I'm just going to file close all these charts again, go back. Now the default again in here is what's called Smart Chart. So Smart Chart is basically how it's set up for every chart view. So let's open Amazon here. We'll type in amzn.o, bring up Amazon, and again it's that standard view. If I make changes to this, I'm just going to put on an indicator. Let's say we'll put on just a moving average as an example here. So I'm just going to grab a moving average. I'll grab it, bring it over, drag and drop it on my chart. And we'll just do a standard moving average here, nothing special. So we've got our moving average on. If I want to make this how every chart I open from now on appears, I can just right-click, save this as my default template, hit yes. And now if I were to open up any other chart, well, let's just say we'll do an instrument search here to find it. Let's say I wanted to find Best Buy. Okay, so typed in Best, there's Best Buy, and just double click it, hit Open Chart. And now you'll see that moving average appear on my chart. So that's a quick, easy way to just kind of save your settings and make sure everything you're opening is the way that you want it to be. So I'm not covering how to set up your charts. I recommend going through the support videos for that. But one other last thing here in the Power Console is the ability to attach an expert advisor. So what we're going to do here is we'll type in American Express. We're going to find an expert advisor. An expert advisor is a quick way to get buy and sell signals based off of different indicators. So we'll take the MACD for example here. So I'll choose Equus MACD, choose Open Chart, and that will open up with buy and sell signals based off of the MACD. So that's a quick, easy way to access buy and sell signals based off of different indicators. So you can see there's quite a list in there. So that's a quick overview of the charting tab in the Power Console. I hope that you have found this video useful and informative to help you get started with Metastock. Stay tuned for the further videos to learn more about the different functions and features in Metastock. Thanks for watching.